Hi, welcome to Thrive Thursday. Today we have an article that came from Lori Kuhn on our Thrive Thursday email. Hopefully you guys are signed up for that and are looking forward to that every Thursday. The name of the article today is What Role Are You Playing? So Lori, what inspired this? Tell me a little bit about it. Tell them a little bit about it.
Well, what inspired this is a really challenging situation that I was in life.
Mm-hmm.
And having all the tools that I have as a coach, it brings me to start questioning myself. So as I'm going through, the example I give in the article is this challenging situation with my sister. And I'm like, why do I always find myself, I'm always on the defense with her. Like, I'm always explaining myself, I'm always justifying myself. I'm like, I always feel like I'm being scrutinized for everything I was doing in the relationship. And so I got to the point where I'm like, there has to be something more here because this keeps showing up in my experience. So what is it for me?
Mm-hmm.
So I start the deep questioning, and in that process, more is coming, which is what was happening in this particular dynamic. And finally, one day, it dawned on me, and it dawned on me because I was in a different situation with her. So I was in a situation where I was with her kids and other family members, and I started realizing that she was responding to them the same way she was responding to me. And I'm like, and it was such a victim. She played the victim with everybody. And I'm like, why would she do that? Because that immediately puts someone else on the defensive.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're like, well, if you're the victim, I have to be the perpetrator. And I'm not a perpetrator. So now I got to defend myself. I have to buffer how I respond to you because I'm not a perpetrator. I'm not making you a victim. And so that was throwing me in the role of defending myself and being, I didn't mean that, you took it wrong, or not even you took it wrong, but I didn't mean it to come out that way, or I didn't mean for it to be taken that way. And so as I watched her interacting with other members doing the same thing, I'm like, she's putting them in the role of perpetrator. And like, so it got me thinking about, in your job, all of a sudden you have your boss sitting in front of you and you're the subordinate. So what do? You go into the position of subordinate.
Mm-hmm.
Now this person's smarter than me, more intelligent than me, has more power than me, and you drop yourself down a level. You think about yourself differently, or you don't think you're as valuable or have the power or intelligence of that individual just because of how you go into the interaction together. So then I started thinking about that in every aspect of my life, which brought me to the question of, what part is she trying to make me play in her opinion of herself? So if your boss comes in, that's their opinion. I'm the boss. I know better. And so it was, the whole insight for me was to just take a look at all the relationships that don't feel comfortable to me, or where I don't feel like myself, or where I don't feel like I'm empowered, and really looking at those and saying, why am I feeling that way? Did I put myself in this role? Or did I put myself in this role because of an energy or a position they were coming to me with, which is what happened with my sister. She was coming to me with, I'm a victim, and it's because of all these things you're doing to me. Well, I didn't do anything to you. So that's where it all started.
I think what's really cool and what I really took from the article was the fact that there was lack of awareness around it until all of a sudden it came into light for you, and all of a sudden the awareness came through. It was like, oh, so you weren't even necessarily, throughout your experience of it, you weren't necessarily labeling her as a victim until you came to this awareness of it.
Right.
And I think that is super cool. You were just playing in the inner, it's super cool to now have that awareness of that. You can ask yourself those questions and go back and go, wait, just kind of take that step back. If it's just, I heard you say it just didn't feel good for you, and you started questioning, okay, now where am I and what is my role in this?
Yeah.
And then come to the understanding as her, labeling her as victim, and her then putting you in that space, and then you taking on that role,
right,
without
even knowing,
which I think that is really interesting,
right? And you don't know because we had been in this dynamic for so long. I didn't even think to question
right,
it.
Exactly.
And I probably wouldn't have if I didn't see her in a different context doing the same thing and watching people respond to her. And then I was like, that's what she does to me. So that's what started making me think about it from the other perspective.
So did you feel, and Jen, you can jump in on this too, because I think this question probably goes to both of you. Did you feel like once you had that awareness, then you did the work to get back your power, or you felt more empowered then. And what were the steps that you do or you did in this particular situation? And then Jen, what are the steps that you do when you have experiences like this to get back into, because we all have them, they're normal human stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so what
Yeah.
happens when, you know, you have come to these awarenesses, and then what were the steps you took to get back to your power?
Well, for one, I was tired of always defending myself.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
why do I always have to? It was another thing. It was exhausting.
Sure.
It really sucked my energy. I didn't like always having to explain and defend myself. I didn't want to feel like I was walking on eggshells with her, and so that's kind of what started it. And then when I realized that I was playing this role in her experience, it came back to, I don't want to be that role for her anymore. I don't have to. Now that I'm aware of it, I can choose to be something different in that.
Awesome.
So when she goes into victim mode, that's her deal. I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to justify my actions. I don't have to buffer anything. It's like, this is the way it is. If you want to feel that way, that's yours to deal with.
So what I'm hearing is that there was a solid knowing that you were not perpetrator, and you had
Exactly.
chosen, and when you got to the point where you said, I'm no longer going to be perpetrator in this experience with this other person, this relationship, then you could, from your core, you could then interact in a way where you just allowed her to be what it was that she was being, and then you stayed in your core of, I'm Lori, and this is how I'm showing up, and you know.
Yeah, and
that's
like I wrote-
that's what I'm hearing. Is
Right.
that okay?
And like I wrote in the article, it's like, if you choose to play the victim, you can find somebody else to be your perpetrator. I'm not going to do that for you anymore. It's
Cool.
exhausting to me.
Yeah.
And if it gave her, and like I said in the article, it gave her the space to say and to look at, do I want to continue being a victim in this relationship?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if she decided, yes, well, it wasn't going to be in this relationship, she's going to have to find that role from somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
I read the article. I love it. I also started looking at it from the role of a parent. So actually, yes, being a parent and accepting that role, and having some times where you know, your child is playing victim, and you are perpetrator because you're the one who said do your chores. Yet also, what is that dual role that can pop up for you as also the rescuer? So
Cool.
I played in that role quite a bit. Not even just as a parent, but I always felt the need to step outside of myself, reach outside of myself, and rescue whoever was needing help, as you know, in their victim mentality. And I no longer do that. In part, thanks to knowing what role I want to play in a relationship, how I want to navigate within my life, and how I want to feel while I'm navigating that relationship. And then also being guided by, you know, what we believe is that everyone, you know, you've got this. It's all normal human stuff, and you're going to work through it. And I can be here and love you and support you holding space, but I am not going to reach outside of myself to rescue you anymore.
And I like that you brought that up, because there's so many different roles that you're entwined in. Like, you are a mom. And in this situation, do I want to be a mom to my husband or my coworker? Or
Right.
do I want to be a boss to my children or my spouse? So I like that you bring up all the different dynamics that go on in role playing and relationships.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really, really grounded in a lot of the things that we talk about here at Thrive within our guiding principles, and how all of those things can really bring you your own empowerment to decide how you want to play your role in life.
I think it's really cool that when we learn our role, I'm not sure which one of you said it, but when we learn our role, by playing that role, we then release the other person to be able to play their role.
Right.
And to shift their role if that's where it needs to be shifted. Or like you said, you know, if I'm not here to fix or rescue you or change you in your role. I'm here to just stay really solid in my role. And then whatever you do with your experience is what you do with your experience. And that, you know, we always talk about the personal responsibility component of that and the self-care component of that. So when we do our self-care, then we allow the other person their own personal responsibility for their self-care. And that is such a powerful message that I don't know that a lot of people always hear. So, you know, I'm hearing that throughout both of these stories and this conversation in general.
Yeah, and like I said, what brought it up for me is the relationship was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So one of the points I'd like to make is, if you find yourself in an uncomfortable relationship, that's when you can start looking at, what role am I playing in this? Is it serving me? Do I like playing this role anymore? And how do I want that to look differently going forward?
Totally different experience than I need to change that person or fix that person.
Exactly.
Totally
Or they
different
need to be
experience.
different so I can feel better around them. Or right.
Super cool.
Right.
So are there any last things that you would like people to know, any takeaways that you just want everybody to understand and land this topic with?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's our birthright to determine our role.
Awesome.
And that's about it. And being able to discover that was amazing and life-changing for me.
And it's also our right to be comfortable in relationships.
Mhm.
We don't have to be engaged in relationships that make us feel inferior or uncomfortable or like we have no value in the relationship.
Yes.
I mean, we're valuable, we're innately powerful people, and we have the right to always feel that way in any interaction